I almost didn't know what I wanted to say. I was almost scared.
Selena Gomez has always been known for her calm demeanor and gentle spirit, but in a recent moment that caught everyone off guard, she finally opened up about something that had clearly been weighing on her heart for years. It was raw, it was emotional, and it was powerful. Without mentioning names directly or giving away too many details, Selena painted a disturbing picture about what really happened to Justin Bieber during his rise to stardom, and one name hovered in the background the entire time: Diddy.
You know, Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, you know, he could buy you one also while you're out.
He got me a Lamborghini.
Well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher. I'm signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
they wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. What kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more? Because that's what pedophiles do. They get victims, and then once they get to a certain age and they get too old for them to enjoy them, they send them out to go get other young kids. Now, if Usher is a procurer, and if Usher knew what was gonna happen to any of those young children that he took to the Flavor Freak off, is he a good guy? Especially considering what happened to him, especially considering that he sat Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said, would you send your kids to Puffy's Flavor Camp? And his immediate response was, hell no! So it's good enough for everybody else's kids, but it's not good enough for yours.
And then you have them come to audition for you, right?
Actually, with a few people. My wife at the time.
Right.
It also was Perry Reed, L.A. Reid's first wife.
You were all sitting in a room somewhere.
We were in a room.
Yeah.
And I showed her the video. And Perry says, are you crazy? You better get down there and meet this kid right now. He's amazing.
When all these pics come out and all this stuff with Bieber's big pics, are you the mastermind behind that? Say, listen, show off your big pics and people will come to those concerts. Or are you sitting there?
Is that the kind of manager he's doing?
Usher, are you sitting down with him and saying, yeah, show your or leave it in your pants? I mean, do you sit him down and say, look, part of this is PR, man?
By the way, he does have a brain of his own.
Yeah, but were you shocked at the size of his penis?
Hey, listen, he has a mind of his own. What he chose to do with his is his prerogative. He's managing that aspect of his life.
But Usher is somebody...
I have nothing to do with Justin Bieber's private part.
Flown out to Atlanta by a manager. His name's Scooter Braun. Flown out to Atlanta just to meet with him and meet different producers and different people. I was actually going to meet Jermaine Dupri at his studio. And who rolls up? Usher in his Range Rover. Yeah, rolls up, and I was like, is that who I think it is? And Scooter was like, yeah. And so I ran up to him and I was like, Usher, I love your songs. You want me to sing you one? And he was like, let's just go inside, little buddy. It's cold out. So the politest possible way he could say no, he did. And I was like, wow, he just turned me down. And I was a little disappointed. He had to go into a studio session, so I was like, whatever. And a week later, he actually watched my videos with my manager. and was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I let him sing? So flew me back to Atlanta where I got to meet him again, and he wanted to sign me. But there was something else.
Justin Timberlake, right?
Yes, Justin Timberlake also wanted to sign me. It was like kind of like, what happened was Justin Timberlake and Usher both went into a ring and boxed it out. And the outcome was Usher. I think it was a TKO.
She almost didn't say it. Her voice shook, and for a moment, it seemed like she might back out, but then she took a breath and began to speak. And what she revealed left everyone stunned. Selena started by talking about the early days, back when Justin was just a kid chasing a dream. He had been flown out to Atlanta, introduced to big names in the music industry, and surrounded by powerful men who promised him the world. It was supposed to be the beginning of everything. But looking back, Selena says, it was also the beginning of something darker. According to her, there were signs, subtle at first, but impossible to ignore over time. Justin was excited, sure, he was young and full of energy, but there were moments he would suddenly go quiet. There were names he didn't want to hear, faces he didn't want to see, and memories he refused to revisit. And one of those names was Diddy. Selena said she could always tell when something was wrong. Justin had this way of shutting down when certain topics came up. And no matter how much she tried to be supportive, he would just say, it's nothing, I'm fine. But she knew better. She saw the hesitation, she saw the fear, and over time she started to piece things together. She talked about a specific video from 2009 that still haunts her to this day. The one where Diddy on camera says that a 15-year-old Justin would be spending 48 hours with him. Back then, people brushed it off as a joke. But with everything that's come out since, Selena says it no longer feels funny. It feels chilling. She remembered how Justin never wanted to talk about that trip, how he changed after it, how even hearing Diddy's name seemed to make him uncomfortable. Selena said she always had a gut feeling something wasn't right, but people around her warned her to stay out of it. It's not your business, they said. You don't want to go there. But the guilt stayed with her, and now years later, she finally chose to speak, not to accuse, but to support. She didn't claim to have witnessed everything firsthand. She didn't name every detail, but the pain in her voice said enough. Something happened, and Justin never fully recovered from it. Her quiet confession was more than just a moment of vulnerability. It was a challenge to the industry, a challenge to stop protecting the powerful and start listening to those who've been affected. She didn't need to shout or point fingers. Her words carried enough weight to make the world stop and listen, and the timing couldn't be more critical. As pressure mounts on Diddy from all directions, lawsuits, investigations, and public backlash, Selena's story adds one more layer to the growing pile of allegations. It raises new questions. Who knew what was going on behind the scenes? Who helped cover it up? And why did so many people stay silent? It's no secret that Diddy has long been protected by a system that favors power and status over truth. For decades, he maintained a spotless image on the surface. Business mogul, music legend, mentor to the stars. But in the shadows, a much different story appears to have been playing out. And now, that story is finally being told. The dominoes started falling when Cassie Ventura came forward, detailing years of control and fear in her relationship with Diddy. That opened the floodgates. One after another, more people began to speak up. People who had seen too much, heard too much, and stayed quiet for too long. Then came the investigations, the FBI raids, the sealed court filings. The whispers turned into headlines. The headlines turned into lawsuits. And now even former allies are backing away, trying to avoid being dragged down with him. Selena's moment didn't just add to the noise, it shifted the energy, because this wasn't some distant lawsuit or anonymous testimony. This was Selena Gomez, one of the most beloved figures in entertainment, someone who knew Justin personally, someone who loved him. Her words made it personal, and suddenly the story felt very real. She didn't go into graphic detail. She didn't have to. The emotion said it all. She said Justin had always seemed haunted by something he couldn't quite talk about. And now, with everything being revealed, it finally makes sense. Diddy's reputation is unraveling fast. Once hailed as a king of hip-hop, he's now being viewed in a completely different light. The companies he built are distancing themselves. Former collaborators are staying silent or outright condemning him. And the internet is watching it all unfold in real time. It's not just about one person anymore. This is about a culture that allowed someone to have unchecked power for far too long. A culture that turned a blind eye, and a culture that now has no choice but to confront the truth. Selena's quiet bravery reminded the world that even the smallest voice can make a difference, that telling the truth, no matter how late, still matters, and that support can be just as powerful as outrage. Justin Bieber hasn't said much publicly, but his team did release a statement. They made it clear Justin is not one of the plaintiffs, but he stands with those who were hurt. That alone speaks volumes. In a world where silence often protects the wrong people, Justin's subtle acknowledgement says everything. And if there's one thing this entire story has shown us, it's that silence can't protect Diddy anymore. The walls are closing in. The legacy he spent decades building is cracking apart piece by piece. And every new story, every brave confession pushes those cracks deeper. The fall of Diddy isn't just about one man. It's about an entire industry being forced to reckon with itself. It's about asking the hard questions. Who enabled him? Who ignored the signs? Who chose to stay quiet for the sake of business? Selena didn't need to name names. Her message was loud and clear. What happened wasn't right, and the people responsible don't deserve protection. She stood up not just for Justin, but for everyone who's been hurt by a system that puts fame above humanity. As the investigations continue and more stories come to light, one thing is certain: this is far from over. And thanks to people like Selena, the truth is finally finding its voice. The damage may already be done, but the silence is broken, and there's no turning back.